This episode is all about different people having completely different accounts of a situation. But at the end of the day, it's not about who's right, it's just a matter of perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And a matter of perspective is very much similar to our own channel and the content we watch with movies and TV shows. There's some movies or TV shows that we absolutely love and people hate, and there's some movies and TV shows that people hate and we absolutely love. And it just goes to show it's not really about what's right or wrong, it's just a matter of perspective.
Oh, no, we're right.
A brilliant scientist is killed, and Riker becomes a murder suspect.
I just know he did it. He killed my husband.
Was it a crime of passion
She's lying. That never happened.
or a violent act of jealousy?
You're a dead man, Apgar.
We both know Will's innocent.
The verdict could send Riker to his death. On Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Well, Josh, I don't think it's really a spoiler how you feel about this one, but do you think have we tapped into the gold? Have we dug deep enough? Have we found the well of these great episodes?
Yeah, I loved this one a lot. And it's just it might be my favorite of the season. And I'll say what I said after the reaction, but if I could just sum it up in one sentence, this is what I'm looking for from Star Trek. Characters I love in a sci-fi setting that takes a great story that's written brilliantly and could work in plenty of different settings, but works so greatly because it's in this sci-fi setting.
Mhm.
It's not the sci-fi running the show, but it's the sci-fi enhancing this already good story. And this was the perfect example.
Yeah, that's a great point. I believe, don't quote me on this or even quote the person, but I think Vince Gilligan said like what like makes good writing is like writing your characters into a hole and like finding a way to get out of that hole, no matter like how when possible, but trying to find a way out of it. And this felt like that. And the technology is the way to get out of that hole. And even when they explain it in the show, I'm like, trying to keep up, but they did it. They made it work. And when it all comes together, it's like, oh shit, when everything ties back together. And that's a Breaking Bad tie-in, which is funny because the not really the villain, Dr. Apgar, is played by Mark Margolis in Breaking Bad. So how about that? So I tied it back to Breaking Bad. The writer is Ed Zuckerman, who's done a bunch of like Law and Order stuff, and I think that's a great choice. Bring in a guy who can use that legal mumbo jumbo, which it really wasn't that heavily, like this isn't like a strict court hearing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a loose court hearing. Like there's not lawyers or and everyone's kind of it's represented by everyone on the ship really, and these people, the Tangoins or whatever. So that was nice. But we got to bring up Cliff Bowl.
Cliff Bowl at it again.
Banger, banger after banger after banger. Cliff Bowl, the banger.
Obviously, a lot of times he's just blessed with these great scripts, but he makes the most of it. There were so many good shots in this one too. Can we talk about all of the effects of the holograms? Riker walking around himself, all the shots from behind Riker and Picard watching the scenario.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, yes, it's a gimmick. It's a holodeck gimmick, but it wasn't overdone. They did it enough times that it was so good. And never was I like, oh, that looks fake. Oh, they're standing in front of a green screen. Like, it just looked great.
Yeah, it wasn't like that season one shot of Riker with no beard. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like no, it looked very, very convincing.
Cliff Bowl, I'm sure, of course, other people help with that, but that was great. And also, probably my favorite shot of the whole episode at the end blows up, empty holodeck. It could just cut right to them, but no. Cliff Bowl knows. No, you got to slowly pan over. Oh, just so good.
So much emotion behind that reveal too.
Yeah, you see one by one
It,
their
it
reaction.
tells the story of like, so that's what happened. It's like, it's like revealing them is revealing their faces is like the story is like coming to them like, oh, that's what happened. It's so masterfully done. Like it's so great.
And before we jump into the real meat and potatoes of the episode, I do just want to quickly say this is more of an outskirts thing. The episode did a great job of giving all of the characters who weren't a big part of the story like one scene. Like Dr. Crusher got one scene of just checking on a random person that I guess is on the Enterprise. You
Yeah,
don't even see her face.
yeah. It looked like she was like a figure skater or something. She got hurt, and then like an alarm. Oh, evacuate, evacuate! There's a thing, and you and I freaked out. We're like,
Yeah,
no,
no plot, no plot.
no plot. Just the court hearing because we love court. I mean, I think we love court. We love mystery, and that with Star Trek and the things you mentioned earlier, how Star Trek's technology and future and how far humanity and just the world has come can just elevate these stories beyond belief.
Yeah.
But yeah, but once like the things started happening, I'm like, oh,
Yeah, and then they had good small scenes with Wesley, who returns this episode, and he's just talking about figuring out the situation with Data. He's in there too. Jordy gets the great moments at the end when he comes in to kind of explain what's going on. You said you were getting worried there was a lot of technobabble at the end. At that point, I already knew what was going on. I knew it was the guy blew it up. I didn't know the exact method or anything, but I wasn't worried because I was like, the guy did it,
Yeah,
you know.
it was
So
just, it was just a familiar feeling I've had watching other mystery films, or where it's like they start going into explanation. I'm like, wait, hold on. You know what I mean? So wait,
yeah,
you're going too fast. Wait, don't lose me. I'm
Yeah.
smart. No, wait. But they got me. In fact, Picard was there to hold my hand. In fact, we'll show you what happened.
yeah.
It's like, oh, thanks.
Oh yeah. We already praised it a little bit, but man, using the holodeck to do this. A lot of times I'm like, don't redo stuff, it'll get repetitive. I would be glad to see this type of thing again, using the holodeck to recreate something.
So fun.
And
so
I
much
love
fun.
that they explained it too. It wasn't just, well, let's go to the holodeck. It was like, Data, can you even do this? And he's like, yeah, well, I would need this and this and this. And does it really make sense? Maybe not. Who cares? It's Star Trek. Like, I don't care about the actual, if it's logical. It's the holodeck. Just the little explanation of Data saying what he needs, and they're like, okay, we'll give you that. That's enough for me to buy in.
Yeah. Do you think, I forget exactly what Data said, but it's like, I need this. Do you think what he got there was what happened with, because on this planet they have this generator thing that was supposed to work with these Krieger waves or whatever,
Mhm.
and somehow the thing recreated in the holodeck was able to transmit with the thing on that planet
Yeah.
and send the waves throughout the Enterprise in random areas depending on what was happening in the holodeck at that time.
Yeah, I actually really liked that. So basically, because Riker says it can't create anything dangerous, but it's not the thing creating the waves. What they created was the converter. So as these waves came up and hit this created converter, the holodeck's not actually doing anything. It's just this converter it created. It's the waves doing it. So it was like an excuse almost, but I think
Okay.
it worked. Again, we're talking about a fake thing. Like, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do like that explanation. And for their, us being afraid of there being a plot, like, yes, we did need an explanation of how they would find out that this happened. So I thought it was perfect. This might be a perfect episode, honestly. Like, if someone didn't care for the acting of some of the characters or something, like, I'm trying to think of what would make someone not like this episode, because I thought all the guest characters were great. We
Oh,
had
yeah.
Gina Hecht, who played Manua Agpar, and then there was Mark Morgalis, who played Dr. Agpar. Craig Richard Nelson was Inspector Crag. I love they have so many names, Crag, Clag, like they all sound the same.
When I saw the name Craig Richard Nelson, I was thinking of that guy from Pet Cemetery. Isn't his name Craig Nelson?
Craig T. Nelson
Craig T. Nelson.
from Coach.
I wonder if they're related.
Both named Craig.
Yeah.
Brothers.
Brothers, yeah. We have
They
different middle
it's
names.
only middle names, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the more I think about it, I love that. But there's a 0.000014 method for error because these waves send out every 5 hours, 3 minutes, and that 0.0014 is that bing, that little bing off the Riker beaming out back to itself. It's like, that's incredible.
Yeah, that was all great. And let's talk about actually the different stories. So I love this because it's 100% true. I mean, it's reality. Even take it outside of court, just any dispute or argument you have with a person, three sides to every story, his side, her side, and the truth. And it's like so true. It's like, I'm glad they did it the way they did, because it could have been, I mean, we did get to see ridiculous Riker, which was great, but they could have been, the scenarios are completely different, but they don't. They mirror each other. They are very similar. A lot of the lines are the same. A lot of it's in body language. And that's why I think it's so genius that they put that Troy moment in there. Again, Troy having just one or two great scenes like everyone else.
She was lying. You could tell.
Well, I didn't sense any deception from her.
I was so afraid they were going to do the, cliche false accuse. She's accusing him of killing her husband, but really she killed him. She believes that's the truth. We can dive into that a little bit deeper because there's a few things I'm confused about, but just that on the surface, and then the assistant coming in, but she's just hearsay from the guy who dies,
Yeah.
and Picard putting it all together to make sense of it. I mean, that's what court is supposed to be. It's like we have all these stories. You hope you have, physical evidence, but when you don't, it's like you got to put it all together. What's the truth? You'll never know for sure. Man, it gives me goosebumps to think about. I love it.
Yeah, I love how Picard had timestamps, like exact times. Like, hey, go to this Riker simulation time, 1410, and the time all lines up at military time, and like it makes sense. It's like, oh wow, they really They really thought this out. Yeah, like I do love the whole matter of perspective, or like the lines for the most part are the same. Maybe one person said the line, or they'd switch it, or or maybe like someone pressed a button instead. Like, but for the most part, it was very similar. It was all like in tone and how things were said. Like I thought that was great. Some things like from the assistant where Apgar knocked out Riker, or Riker punched the guy twice in the gut. Like some
Yeah.
detail like that seems a bit extreme.
Yeah, let's put the guy aside because he's dead, whatever. But like between the wife and Riker, for example,
Hmm.
Riker recalls the dude smacking his wife, and the wife recalls the guy hitting Riker. One of those things didn't happen. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
some of it you got to be like someone is telling the truth and not. But I would believe that maybe the wife does block out or whatever the fact that the guy hit her. You know, like maybe she's not subconsciously remembering that. I can believe that, but it just made it a little bit of a stretch where some of it was like, okay, one of these things didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah. I thought maybe there was gonna be some, oh, the Tenguins, have an ability to, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like warp something. I thought this was gonna be like a total, like, I don't know, Scooby Doo type, like the Tiny was gonna take off a mask and be Dr. Apgar. Ah, you found me. But it's like I love when my brain goes to those simple answers. Oh, I bet they're all in on it. I bet the assistant did it, and I love being completely wrong. I love it because it's like I love a good mystery. I love not being able to figure a mystery out. I love actors getting to have fun playing different perspectives of the same scenes. Because I've taken acting classes, and that's sometimes a thing we do where it's the same thing. The words are on the paper, the words are the exact same. The timing, the tone, the intention, whoever's thinking what your intention, what do you want out of the scene. It feels like a fun game, a fun acting exercise. This is probably so much fun for the actors, I bet, especially for Riker. Be able to play, his stoic, good man, and also his sleazeball in the same scene. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just gotta say, the mystery is cool, for sure. And for me, it also is how they take the situation, and I just love seeing the different sides of it. Where the solution, I'm wondering what happened, but even beyond that, I want to see five different variations of this. You know what I mean? Like I just want to see all the different shades of the truth of what actually happened, and it's just so fun. I just love this. I wouldn't say trope, but just this plot device or whatever you would call it of showing something happen and then showing it from another perspective.
Oh, it's great.
I love that. And my favorite show of all time is Arrested Development, and that's something they would do all the time, where
Yeah.
you'd have, you're following one character and something happens in that scene, and then it returns back to it after you've been following the other character, and now it makes sense. And that type of non-linear storytelling, not necessarily in like an extreme Christopher Nolan way, but just in the perspectives that, Ron Howard and the people that made Arrested Development were able to do. That's a big reason why it's one of my favorite shows. It's also fucking hilarious. But, you know, this was right up my alley in that regard. And it's also just such a acting episode. Like it lets all the
Yeah.
our main crew and the guest actors like all get to just have a great time, and there's nothing in their way of like, oh, I gotta sit in this chair and talk to someone over a view screen. Like that's harder to act because it's like they're not really there or they're watching a recording or whatever. This is just people in a room acting, and I love it. All right, well, we're gonna see what our patrons have to say, and if they, I don't anticipate anyone to love this as much as us. I'm glad if anyone does, but I think this is a unique thing for us.
I think Alex and Josh will love this one, but I think this episode is fine. It's gonna be like 30. It's gonna be 30 of those, and I'm happy with that. That's fine.
Well, it's coming to YouTube Friday, so check it out.
Alex and Josh, feel the target audience on a cosmic journey, feeling so immense. They're sitting in a room, ready for the show. Star Trek Next Generation, Season 3, let's go! The first time they've seen this sci-fi sight, only going where no man's gone, day and night. Hip-hop beats fill the atmosphere. Their minds are racing, filled with wonder and cheer. Cosmic journey.
banger after banger after banger. Cliff Bowl the banger.